booties for black girl nerds.
Hello, lovely to see you.
Hi, Ella, love your background.
Thank you. Welcome to, you didn't get to see it before, but this is the official gaming office.
I love it. See, I'm trying to get into streaming, so I'm just getting started, trying to get my background together too. So
yeah. It's the neon lights. They're just essential. Just make stuff look so good.
I know it's all about the lighting. It is all about
the lighting.
Well, listen, Ella, I loved your character. I loved this film. I loved everything about Run, Sweetheart, Run. And it's incredible seeing the arc of your character in this film because she's completely different at the end of the film from what we see the way she is presented in the very beginning. So walk me through that. Like, what was the most compelling thing about the challenges that she faced throughout this story?
So yeah, commenting on the emotional, physical growth of Cherie is something we definitely really wanted to focus on because it's like an amazing character arc that she goes through, really reaching her full potential. Yeah. The thing that was really challenging for me was staying authentic to each moment in the scene whilst also staying true to the horror thriller genre. That, you know, it's so tempting to suddenly get into Scream Queen sort of state, and then, you know, we're in that sort of place. But this film, because there are so many themes and things that happen to this character which are a reality for so many people, we wanted to really be authentic and truthful towards, and there's a responsibility there. So keeping that balance was something that me and Shana really tried very hard to maintain.
Do you have a favorite scene or a favorite moment during filming that still sticks with you, that still resonates with you?
Yes, I have two. One is the jail cell scene. It was an absolute pleasure to work with Pilou. I absolutely hated the set, but I loved working with him in that. I think that was the only time I've ever felt I've had to resist the physical urge to punch someone in the face because I was just like, get away from me. And then the other moment, which was really cathartic, was her final monologue that she has, where she really reaches her, you know, full potential, her power. She really grasps that, and we shot that on location in Santa Monica Pier, and it was amazing.
Yeah. I also really like this the presentation of blood in this film. Like, we haven't really seen that since like Carrie, and like how blood has this representation of power and like feminist power. So what did you think about that, the way this was presented in the story through your character?
I think it's something that was really powerful, like you say. I think it's and as well, it's presented in a way that is so smart. She, you know, especially in the overpass scene with the bridge, when her blood literally saves her life because she's so fast on her feet and she thinks. It's, as to film, it was such a strange experience because it is something that is so taboo, and suddenly I'm on set with, you know, a bunch of guys and gals that I don't know, and I'm like, I'm like suddenly in this situation, and it's so strange. But then it was, as we shot more and more, and especially as, you know, we shot this in 2019 and now it's 2022, and, you know, perspective is a wonderful thing. And I am so delighted that I am able to almost be part of the conversation and normalizing that for so many women. I'm like, 50% of the planet is going through this. The fact that it's taboo is a huge question mark. And, you know, at the end of the day, I'm glad that someone like even my sister can feel empowered through that.
Last question, in the spirit of Halloween, in the spirit of this film, this horror film, what's the most terrifying thing for you? What terrifies you the most?
What terrifies me the most?
Yeah.
Oh, I like this question. Honestly, like, there's a genuine answer to this, which is like kind of and then there's also an actual answer to this. My genuine answer is like hurting my friends and family. I never want to be that person to do that. Like, I genuinely have a huge anxiety around doing that. So I'm always very cautious and careful. But like a physical thing, yo, don't tell me you haven't woken up in the middle of the night and you're like, you hung up your hoodie to dry from the laundry and you live there and you see like a shadow, and then suddenly you're like, there's a person in my room.
Oh, yeah. That is terrifying indeed.
That.
Ella, thank you so much for your time. This film was absolutely incredible, and I just can't wait for everybody to see it.
Thank you so much. That means the world. And thank you for your time.
All right, you take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, Pilou. How are you?
Great. I love your room.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, there is something about the charming guys in these movies that are so terrifying. And I just wanted to know, like, your character completely blows away audience expectations, and I don't want to give anything away, but did you base Ethan off of any real life characters or fictional characters as you were developing this role?
Not really. I kind of wanted to have one of the most iconic characters, Hannibal Lecter, this coldness. But to be honest, not really. It just kind of happened. It just kind of happened. I wish I was like this genius going like, yes, I did a little bit of the joke and a little bit of, I did that with Samaritan. That was like a little bit of Kiefer Sutherland, a little bit of 80s villain in the whole look and everything. Ethan, I was honestly, Jamie, I was so happy I wasn't a villain for the first 15 minutes of this movie. I was just so happy with it. That's the reason why I wanted to do this film. And they was like, yeah, and then I'll do the villain for the rest of it. But the first 15 minutes, I got to do like a nice person.
And the irony is the charming part of it is like, okay, he's a little terrifying because you kind of feel like there's something mysterious and that foreshadowing is building up that tension.
It's too much. It's not the character. It is me trying too much to be nice.
Well, when you're playing this kind of role, do you feel like you have to have something in common with that character, that you have to relate to him in some capacity in order to get to the core of building into this villain that you eventually become?
A character is always defined by what you see on screen and not what you create at home. So I can do hours and hours of research and hours of decision making at home or in my little prison cell. But if it's not in the script and if it's not in the storyline, it's not going to be transcended through the screen, through the character. So for me, I always break the scene down and I go like, what can I show? What side of a character can I show in this scene? For example, the prison scene. A man taking control. The skating scene, the seductiveness, the playfulness, the charming. The house scene where the feathers come from the ceiling and they dance. The falling in love scene. So every single scene I can break down and go like, this is where he falls in love. This is where he becomes angry. This is just to give it a headline. And you can't plan it because I don't know how the set is going to be. I just know the lines and I go into the room and I go like, I'm going to turn everything off. I'm going to be completely open to what's going to happen. But of course, I have some basic ideas of what to do and what not to do in a scene. But how it's going to end up, I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know. I'm so driven by impulse. It was possible in this one when you're doing a big ass studio film and you got a million different setups and you got to get all the beats, you can't. But when you're making a movie like this with a lot of big wides and a lot of big shots where you have the possibility to play within that frame, you're doing it not for the audience. You're doing it because you've done villains for 7 years and you get bored and you need to entertain yourself.
Right, right. In the spirit of Halloween, in the spirit of this film, what terrifies you the most? And it could be anything. It could be ghosts. It could be the re-election of Donald Trump. It could be anything.
one of the things you mentioned is really horrifying. I'm not going to say which one, but I am two things. If my wife and my daughter disappeared, but that movie's made by Liam Neeson already. I'm kidding. No, I think if my wife and daughter disappeared, that would make me that would be the most horrible thing for me. But what frightens me, like 95% of the world, and I'm gonna say something bad and you're gonna beep it away, but fuck you, Stephen King, fuck you, It. I hate clowns. I fucking hate them. I hate them so much. If I see a clown, I want to punch that guy's face. I'm like, no, get out. I don't even think it's funny. I don't think it's funny. Get the fuck out. Something like that. Sorry, I'm swearing a lot. And then I'm 40 years old. I shouldn't be afraid of swimming. But I saw Jaws when I was a kid. And I'm still, even in a pool, I still go like, no sharks. Okay, good. Okay, good. There's no sharks. Wait, no sharks. Fine, I'm going to be safe. I still do that in a pool.
Wow. I co-sign with you on the clowns thing. Clowns scared the hell out of me. So I agree with you completely.
But it's also the bozo. It's also the
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time. This film was brilliant. You did an incredible performance, and I can't wait for everybody else to see it.
Thank you so much. That's very sweet of you. Thank you.
Oh, this film was so much fun. Oh, goodness. I absolutely loved Run, Sweetheart, Run. And I love movies that subvert audience expectations and subvert the genre, which is exactly what this film did. Starting with you, Effie, what is it about this story that sets it apart from other feminist stories of this genre?
Okay, first of all, like I said, I'm a big fan, and I'm a big fan of Black Girl Nerds, but I'm also a big fan of horror movies. Like, I love what horror movies are able to do and what they're able to say. And when Shana invited me into the warm embrace of this movie, I was like, hell yeah. Because what was important to me, and I'm just going to be real about it, how many women do we see be the lead? How many Black women be the lead? And how many Black women do we see that actually win in the end? How many? We don't get to see that. And then also, and I'm sure you're picked up what we're putting down here, which is like the women that actually come to her aid of being mostly women of color, right? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and to show that like we're together and that's how we're able to defeat the big bad. So that's really was important to me. And I was like, high five, Shana, I'm with you, girl, let's go. And then also the last thing is, and I won't make, I want to turn it over to Shana, but like this genre, it's really important because it's talking about things that are happening in real life. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about like who listens, like it goes on, like you talk about Dahmer, you can talk about the serial killer they just found in Missouri, you can talk about how the Native indigenous women are like just disappearing and everyone's like nobody really knows because like who's controlling that narrative, right? So this is, so I think it's really important that this is something that's sort of hearkening to like what's actually happening in real life as well. I can go on, but like I love this movie and I love what Shana did with it.
You just preached a word. And that's what I mean by subverting audience expectations and the genre itself with Run, Sweetheart, Run. And Shana, I just want you to know, again, I love this film. I really loved the pacing too, from beginning to end. And the tone. This film was dark. It was funny, it was bizarre, and even gory at times. And I wanted to know what's most important for you when it comes to the elements of building tone as a filmmaker.
Yeah, I mean, I think, tone is such a tricky one. But I know I need to make people laugh. That is one of the most important things, whatever I do, whatever story I'm telling. And especially in this one, I know I needed a release. I know I needed the audience to be like, because we're on this relentless journey with Cherie and it's visceral and we're feeling it and we're so with her that we need to at least be able to like, oh, I can breathe again. All right, now we're getting started right back up again. And to kind of, people say, oh, it's kind of a heightened world. It's kind of a heightened reality. Not so much for me, not so much for most women. It doesn't feel as heightened as you would think because the patriarchy to me feels supernatural. It feels undefeatable at times. It feels surprising and scary and weird and gory and all those things.
For each of you, starting with Effie and then Shana, what terrifies you the most? And it could be anything.
What terrifies me the most, and this movie actually touches on it, is not being believed.
Yeah.
Like knowing when you know the truth and you know a thing, like you can call it by its name and you know it. And then everyone's like, being like, I think you're being irrational. And like, you didn't see like that makes me apoplectic. That's what terrifies me and freaks me out. And thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate it. Thanks. No, but go ahead. What do you think, Shana?
I think it's like the tentacles of the patriarchy that you don't expect. I am a survivor and I went to the police after an attack occurred. And 2 hours later, my neighbor who was the attacker, I see him in his house. And they said, well, you weren't actually raped. So we can't charge you with rape. And I said, well, that was his goal. My dad was home and he actually helped fight him off. But I thought at that moment, the law does not protect women. It does not protect. You could get more if they had found marijuana or coke on me than what happened to this guy. And now this guy is living in my neighborhood and it's my responsibility to now get a restraining order. And eventually it was my responsibility to move out of my apartment, even though I was flat broke, and find a new place to live. And he is still living there and I don't know what he's doing, That's scary to me.
Yeah.
That is scary. Where do you see, in terms of just the industry and even in the horror genre, where representation is, where do you see that going? Do we still have further along to go? Are we in a good place now? Where do you see things happening next? Starting with you, Effie.
I want to say that I think that we're getting better. I think we have a long road to go, but I think that this experience that we all just had together, I think it's a beautiful playbook of how to do things correctly and how to come out with a great movie at the end. So I think we have a ways to go, but I also feel that people are ready to see when you look outside your window to see what you normally see. Like not everything is all one slice of life, unless like you're in a cult or something, I don't know, but it's good. People want to see inclusivity.
Yeah.
And it's good business.
Yeah. I mean, this process, I screened this film at Sundance and it was a different film. We were able to reshoot it and bring Effie on and create a Black writer's room to lend more authenticity to this role. Effie said something that I love, which is you can't make a movie about us without us. And we got to live that through that experience, come out the other side and have a movie we're both really proud of.
Well, I'm proud of you guys. And this film is so incredible and beautiful. And thank you for taking the time to talk to Black Girl Nerds. And we really appreciate it. I can't wait for everybody else to see it as well.
Thank you so much for taking the time. Big fan. Okay.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds. Better shake your booties for Black Girl Nerds.